This is drawing number 1, record time, seeing how fast I can get it done so that we can get her done and get going. But the big thing is, first, line up your paper on your desk. Make sure your T-square is tight on the edge of the desk. Line it up. T-square is tight over here. Tape the top down first. Just put 2 pieces of tape on the top, across the corner, going at an angle. Okay, it's like you're taping it down. Okay, once you do that, then you just start with the steps on the blue sheet here, your blueprints. Okay, border and title block. So right off the bat here, you're going to write 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Step 1's the border and the title block. It shows you a picture of it right up here. The border is a 1/2 inch border, so you could use a ruler or you could use your triangle or whatever you want to measure. And sometimes people find it easier on the triangle to start measuring at 2 or 3 inches because if you start right at the end of the triangle, it has it's measuring down to the 32nd of an inch. So what I do is I try to put as much measuring on the drawing as I can to start with. I go 1/2 inch. We're just doing a 1/2 inch border. And then a 1/2 inch for our centering box. Okay? So if you just follow the steps, 1/2 inch, 1 inch. Okay? So I know this is a lot of steps, but as long as I'm going for a speed record here, at the top it says 1/2 inch border on all sides. So that's a 1/2 inch, and the goal of that is to just make a nice picture frame around your drawing. Architects and engineers put a border on their drawing so that you can kind of show everything inside this border is important. Okay? In the bottom of the drawing, they also put a thing called a title block, which I don't worry too much about it for now. If you want an extra challenge, the title block does have measurements down here at the bottom. It's a 1/2 inch total, and the lines for the title block are a 1/16 inch from the bottom, 1/16 inch from the top, and all the other lines are an 1/8 inch. So you put your guidelines on the small marks on the ruler. Okay? But the title block basically is just like for your name. I'm just going to put in here, and we write in all caps. Architects and engineers write in all caps. Okay? So I've just finished step 1. 1 and done. 1/2 inch border all the way around and a title block. That's just to make it look pretty. Doesn't really serve too much of a purpose. And then inside that, I do my centering box. I'm on step 2 over here on the side right now. The centering box is so that the 3 views of this object will be centered on the page. Okay? So if you look at step 2 here, it says centering box, 1 1/4 from the sides. If that's too confusing for you on the 1 1/4, for the time being you could just go 1 inch, but it's really 1 1/4 from each side because you want it centered on the page. And when you do vertical lines, you have your T-square tight on the edge of the desk, and you do your triangle going up and down. Now when you do that, look at how close the lines you can get together without touching them. I mean, you can barely see. I hold the T-square tight. I'm always pulling the T-square tight on the edge of my desk so that I get good straight lines. Okay? That was step 2, centering box. Okay? And if we do our 3 views of the object inside there, it will be centered on the page. Okay? So I can cross off step 2. Step 3 says complete the 2 given views inside the centering box. This is what they're talking about here. This is the top view. This is the side view. It tells us that the top view is 5 inches long. So I would take my ruler and go 5 inches. I could use my ruler, or some of the triangles have measuring on them. I go 5 inches, 1 inch. Okay? This is 1.5 inches here. So now I mark out the measurements for the top view. And I'm doing this kind of dark so that you can see it on the camera. But normally you draw everything light until it's right. Okay? So that's like drawing number 1. The top view of it looks kind of like a doorstop. Okay, you can see it's missing that front view. Then the side view. Now check this out. You don't have to do it like this, But if you want to know another little trick, this is something you can do where you take the triangle and you make a 45-degree line. This is called a 45-degree projection line. And wherever that line comes down, it's kind of like the paper's folded. Wherever that line comes down and hits here, you bring a line down, and that will transfer the depth from the top view to the side view. Because however thick it is there, that same block is that thick right down there. So, like I said, I'm going for record time now, so I want you guys to get started. But now I go the height of it over here of this block, 2.5 inches tall. So if this block is 2.5 inches tall here, then over here it's 2.5 inches tall also. But only to this point right here where it starts to go down at an angle. Okay? Now this is why we use our tools to line everything up. I go, this is 1/2 inch up, right to here. There's a 1/2 inch mark here, there, and there. And now we just connect those two lines from this point to this point. We erase the extra lines. These lines are just what's called construction lines as we learn more about them. There's top view, front view, side view. That's not this exact block. I have this one right up here, but you get the idea, right? Last thing I'd like you to do, just since while we're learning, I always say draw everything light until it's right. And then when you're done, it's a good idea to label and use your tools when you do this. Label the dimension lines. Dimension lines usually have numbers on them like 5, but for now, you can just put W, because I want you to know that dimension is called the width. This dimension over here is called the depth. This dimension here going up is called the height, okay? And use your tools when you do those, because the dimension lines can either make a drawing look better or worse, okay? And I had an 8th grader today that was so proud of his drawing, and I said, man, I always feel bad saying this, but your dimension lines, you just freehanded, they don't make the drawing look better, they make it look worse. So use your tools, okay? Top view, front view, side view. Label the views. If you look on page 214 there, a lot of you look at that and go, I don't think that would be the top view. Well, I don't either, but I didn't write the book on drafting, and they never once asked me for my opinion, which kind of bums me out, but use all capitals, top, front, side. Done. 3 views. Boom. 7 minutes, 56 seconds.